What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming to you with another episode of the Affiliate Marketing Show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest affiliate marketing news, tips, and trends. Per usual, Josh, myself from OfferVault.com, the industry's largest aggregator of all things affiliate marketing. Whether you are a newbie, a veteran, or just looking to stay on top of what's hot, OfferVault.com is the place for you. We also have Mr. Pay-Per-Call Adam Young, as well as the industry legend Harrison Gevirtz, and a very special returning friend of the pod, Amanda Farris. I should have checked this. I'm going to go out on a limb. Founder and CEO of LinkUnite. You can correct me in a second if necessary. A community-driven organization dedicated to empowering professionals in marketing and digital industries. They also provide networking opportunities, mentorship through their Link program, and industry-focused educational series. Founder and CEO, or is there an adjustment in there?
No, I'm founder and CEO,
Right.
but I have a partner, a co-founder, a sister in blood, which is Sarah Melo. So we are right brain, left brain over there. So.
Yeah, I figured. That's kind of what I was thinking in terms of the correction there. Shout out, Sarah. What's up? We were just talking before we started recording. It's been about 2.5 years since we had you on the pod. If I remember correctly, we were going to try and do an in-person recording with you in Vegas. We ran into some technical issues, so we ended up doing it like a day or two later when everyone got home. Awesome episode. Make sure you go check that out. Probably on our YouTube page somewhere around early February in terms of the release. But what's changed in your life since January of 23?
Man, everything. I mean, getting married, having a baby, throwing massive amounts of events. So I feel like we just doubled up our schedule on top of, throwing a new human into the mix. So it's been fun, but definitely an adjustment.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump around here because you mentioned the events, so I'm gonna go right to that if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I know you guys just had LinkUnite 5, I
Yeah.
believe.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Adam, proud partner of the event, yes. Can you please?
Title part.
Yeah, not just a proud partner. Let's give him credit where credit is
I
due.
agree with the first partner, actually.
Mm-hmm. You were the premier partner, top partner, the partner of LinkUnite 5. It would not have happened without Ringba and Adam and all of their amazing continued support. Adam always supports us, so that's, clutch when it comes to what we do.
Yeah, let's take a few steps back first. Tell us about LinkUnite 5, how it kind of came to be, what the goal of the event is, and then just some of the highlights. Anything unexpected pop up? What made it, a special event?
Nothing unexpected. It was actually as smooth as events can go, because as you guys know, they do not always go smoothly. Hi, Harrison. Do not always go smoothly, but it was, actually, I think we're kind of getting the hang of our format. We don't do the same format as all the other shows. It's very much a content day and then a connection day. So our show is much more focused around making sure that people have the ability to meet one another face to face and have genuine connection and conversations with each other. So we do try to provide content, which is usually compliance and, some other network building type stuff. But the second day is really about making sure that they connect individually. That's why the show is the size that it is and why we, pick the people that we do to come. So.
Yeah, how big is it?
The organization itself, we have a couple thousand members, but the show itself, we limit to about 150. We have thought about going up, but in reality, that's about as many people as you could genuinely have a conversation with in about 2 to 3 day span. So the idea is, making sure that everyone actually meets one another, not just collecting business cards, which we can all do at the Cosmopolitan Bar if we want to do that, at some other time. So
Josh asks that question a lot.
yeah.
Which question is that, Adam?
Your last one.
How many people is it? How big? Oh, how big is it?
Yeah.
Adam, oh my God, this guy, he just gets funnier and funnier every week. Yes, I do ask that question a lot. Someone who does know a lot about how big it is, Harrison, have you been to a LinkUnite event? That was great. Come on, guys.
That was pretty good transition. I have not.
We're banned.
You're banned.
He's
You're
not.
banned too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boys aren't allowed.
Boys aren't allowed at LinkUnite, the one event. Everything else that we do, the happy hours, the networking mixers, all that other stuff is co-ed. So you guys are always welcome to come join us. Yes, we would kidnap you anytime we can get you.
We are source for. We're pretty jealous here, so that's where this comes from.
Well, we can't do it.
The events are good.
We can't do it without you guys, so you're a central part of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But we can't go.
Maybe we start coming up with some aliases for the two of you and slide you in.
I mean, Amanda, if you know anything about,
I can be whoever I want to be.
Very true.
that is true. Amanda, if you know anything about Harrison and Adam, they love going to events, especially if there's loud music.
Oh, yeah.
Adam's kind of
actually does. Me.
Adam's kind of come around. He's
I
kind
was
of
gonna say
come
Adam's
around.
come around a little bit.
Yeah.
I've seen, we're going to some techno shows and some, Electric Daisy Festival, all that stuff. So, I mean, definitely in the mix, but my eardrums hurt when I do that now, so I can't do it. Kudos to you.
So speaking of, LinkUnite, in-person events, I know that's something you're super passionate about, specifically like the ROI one can get from an in-person experience when everything is centered so much about remote work, remote networking. Like, how do you kind of, determine the importance of it? How do you really determine the ROI? Or is it really more just kind of like an overarching theme and based on like previous experience and the relationships you've walked away from when you're kind of comparing in person to remote?
I just think that everyone coming out of COVID went into like hyperdrive in person. And then there was a little bit of a retreat back out of that. I think everyone went to every show possible because we were all cooped up. And then I feel like people kind of went back into the remote, I'll just connect with you on Zoom after a show type thing, or they don't go to the show at all. They'll just say, I'll be at one of maybe 3 they used to go to. But I don't think you can replace in-person conversation, especially with personalities that are like on this call, right? You can't really replace that with the screen. Like, it's great to connect over this, but an in-person conversation can never really be, it's more authentic, right? Like, you can read body language, you can have more in-depth conversations. It's a different thing. And I think that people are kind of retreating back into, well, let's just get on a call, let's do this. And it does save time, and money, I guess, if you're traveling, but it diminishes, I think, a little bit of what you can really do if you're sitting like face to face with somebody personally. But
I agree with you. I generally refuse to take all phone calls.
Adam's like,
Seriously.
Done. Yeah. It's just
The
not
answer's-
the same. Yeah.
So Adam, you literally will only meet with people face to face?
If you looked at my calendar, you'd probably be surprised. Like, I do a few team meetings. I think this morning I did an all-hands engineering meeting. I do a leadership meeting. I mean, at Ringba, they generally don't want me doing work because anytime I do work, I become a bottleneck and slow them down. And they're all better at what they do than me. And so they want me, sitting by myself in a dark room, figuring out how to take over the world. So they're very smart over there. A lot of people hit me up. I mean, I get inbound every day, probably 25 to 50 requests for a call over email every day. I get 5 or 10 over Twitter, more over other socials. Anyone who texts me without permission, I block. LinkedIn, I don't accept people's connections if they sell anything. Yeah, literally the answer is no. Like, I have no interest really in meeting with anybody for any reason unless they can convince me that they're going to give me something extremely valuable for my time. Because my time should be spent focused on growing our team and mentoring them and the future and our customers. And like, everything else is just noise. If I need to be on a sales call, the sales team will come ask me and I'll go do it, but they're pretty good. I've done a good job of making sure they're self-sufficient so I don't have to do that. And so, yeah, I generally avoid all calls.
Question for you. This just popped into my head going in a different direction here. Just on the record, are you and Harrison on better terms now after he left you stranded on a Hawaiian island? And can you kind of tell us about how that came to be? Because according to your Instagram story, he just said, "Hey, your plane's gone. I don't know when it will be back. Bye. That's kind of like what I gathered.
Yeah, so we were in New York City, and I said I needed to get away. And he said, cool, here's a Gulfstream G4 SP. Go wherever you want. Gas is paid for. And so I went to Hawaii to see Matt Zoe at a rave. And then I hopped over to Kauai to do a lot of reading, creative work, yoga, that type of thing in the forest. And then I wanted to leave, but then I looked up the tail and the plane wasn't in Hawaii anymore. And so I found out that Harrison sold the routes and moved it back to the other side of the country and left me there for an extra 2 weeks.
Dude, that's crazy.
It was worth it. Had to do it.
I could have flown back commercial, okay? Like, I could have.
But no.
But
2 extra weeks in Hawaii, though. I'm like, worst places to be stranded, honestly. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I finished my next book, and that was really, really cool. And I did a lot of personal development work. You know, I haven't gone on a trip by myself in 20 years or so. And so when Harrison offered the plane, I thought it was a really cool thing to do. And I didn't take much with me, just a little carry-on. And I was by myself for 3 weeks, and it was a lot of fun. And I went to a bunch of different islands. I went to these very, very bad venues to see some EDM DJs. They were a lot of fun. And I danced with teenage Hawaiian kids. They're really great at shuffling. Yes, and their older friend, they liked that he showed up and danced with them. You know, I went skydiving and...
Oh, yeah. How was that, dude? I've been twice.
It's fun.
Was that your first time?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's great.
No. But they'll do it on Oahu at 18,000 feet. So
Oh,
it was a lot of
nice.
fun.
Sick. Yeah.
And then April Wong sent me a message and asked if I was certified, and I said no. And then I told her I wanted to go halo jumping,
Which is what, 25?
28,000 feet with oxygen.
Right.
But I could never get anyone who has the balls to do it. And the thing is, though, I've only asked dudes. So I said that to April, and she was like, send me dates.
I'm game. Yeah, April's down.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
might be going doing that soon. I don't know. We'll see.
You have to be certified to do the Halo, or can you just go
No.
up and still do tandem?
Tandem.
Oh.
They'll still do tandem, but it's
But
like
that's the super, super, super high up.
He's 28,000.
28,000 feet. It's commercial airliner height.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild, dude.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've only done 14,000. That was as high as they'll let us go down here. So, like, that's sick. Take all of the videos, please, and share them. Or maybe I'll just come join.
Yeah. No, don't worry. We'll get the videos.
Harrison,
Of course, but-
Harrison, do you typically abandon non-paying clients like this?
We really highly recommend you pay.
Yeah,
Preferred
that's fair.
policy.
Yeah, I saw you.
The service
like,
is way different when you pay.
I think what Adam, you said something tongue in cheek like Sonic Flights respects their paying clients more than me or something like that. I can't remember, but it's good.
yeah, Harrison just has to take better care of the customers that pay.
Right.
And to be fair, I haven't sent any money, and so someone else paid for that gas. And so yeah, but I eventually got really agitated, and he did send me a plane. So
It did.
And then
on his birthday, and then this fucker sent me to Las Vegas instead of Miami, so that I could have dinner with his ass.
that's beautiful. That's
I'm a nice
beautiful.
guy. Okay. That's Fred. That's
Yeah.
cute, isn't that? It's like homely.
Yeah. And
So-
then you went to Cedar Point in Sandusky.
On Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, I hit up Adam. I go, bro, you're an hour away from me. Let's get dinner. He goes, sorry, dude. Got to get on the PJ. Got to get back down south. I was like, all right, that's fair, dude.
I had to get to the gym before it closed.
Yeah, I get it. Priorities, dude. And Harrison, you go out of your way for your paying clients. I saw you like meet them at the plane and
Sometimes. I mean, that's a kind of a marketing thing we did with, I'll just say it because it's going to be public. We did like a collaboration with the All In podcasts.
Oh, no
Uh,
shit. That's tight.
so we kind of had Chamath, who's like one of their, one of the guys in the show. He's been flying around all week. He has a film crew with him, and they're like showcasing like essentially busy business executives travel schedule and shit. So we made it like over the top. So the jet is like stupid, like we over catered it, just ridiculous. But I got feedback that he's having a blast. So, uh, you know, usually you don't get feedback, or they say no feedback is good feedback. But I was like an eager child, and I was like, "Is he happy?" And they were like, "Yes." It's like, "Oh, thank God."
Where you're like, yo,
Okay, cool.
dude, you should check out my podcast. It's really good.
We have that 1 millionth of your viewers.
I think that was kind of the inspiration for this show, if I'm not mistaken, though. I mean, I remember you guys were like, check this out. We need to do something like this. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, it was.
I was
And
like,
then
yes, sir.
randomly, how long ago was that, Harrison, that we sent that email?
Like over maybe just shy of a year. So I've never
Yeah.
cold marketed. I've never tried to get someone to be our customer except them. They're the only one. Well, actually, I did it again today, and I think I just closed the one I was telling you about, Adam. So that's crazy. But I
Don't
essentially,
disclose yet. Yeah, don't
yeah, no,
jinx it.
I'm not disclosing that one because the contract's not signed yet. But essentially, I've never done these. I sent an email that was like, "Yo, I've listened to the podcast since it started, and like,
That
I
is
want to
not
sell you
what
guys
the email
jets."
said.
No, what did it say? I don't even remember what it said.
That's because I wrote it.
Let me see if I can find it.
Hey, Harrison, do you think we could
It
get
said,
the
"Hey,
bottom
John,
half of your
long-time
face
listener,
as
first-time
well?
caller."
Long time listener, first. Okay.
It's a great
Yeah,
start.
I know exactly what it said because I wrote it. I was like, "Harrison, we need to go get these guys. You need to reach out to them." And he's like, I don't know. And then we wrote an email. And then it took over a year to actually get a deal done, which I think is an important thing to highlight here, right? Because this is a business show and we are talking about business. Like, if you want to create amazing partnerships with amazing brands and organizations, it does not happen overnight. It takes persistence and it takes hard work, and you have to
April
go above and
2024.
beyond. Yeah. So it took us over a year to just get them to work with us and to do a partnership. So we're super excited about that. And the longer things take like this, usually the better they are.
Mhm.
And, I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand how long it's going to take to really build a brand and really create something amazing. And then they see shit like what I posted today, or me sitting here in this kitchen, and they're like, "Oh yeah, just easy, just like, right to the top." And they're like, "All right, well, Ringba's 10 years old,
Mhm.
and it was not always fun, and now it's fun with lots more not fun. Like, it's always going to be kind of not fun."
Different kind of headache.
Yeah, exactly. And the same with this partnership. I know Harrison went back and forth with them for a long time, and we had to earn their trust in business, and I know I did a great job. But that's what it really takes, is perseverance over long periods of time to win good deals.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda, you mentioned a different type of headache. I think that's a great segue into this next topic here, which is how to kind of avoid the headaches when it comes to throwing events like LinkUnite. I know Adam and Harrison have had their fair share of events for Ringba, exclusively, as well as in partnership with LinkUnite. So, what does it really take to run a high impact event without losing your mind? Like, what are some of the preparation skills you've picked up over the years? How to deal with fires in the middle of the event that pop up, thinking on your feet and staying, calm, and also still remaining a good leader at the same time.
You nailed it on the head. It's like being able to think on your feet. So flexibility is key. It's like you have a plan, the plan will never be the plan. And that's the same thing with business. It's like you can map and foresee and forecast till the day's end, but it's going to be different than the way that you get there. But it's fun, right? Like that's half of it is the unexpected. And sometimes the unexpected is what takes you in the direction that you should be going. So even at events, flexibility is key, thinking on your feet. Like, venues will screw up. 100%. Like something will go down, something will not be where it's supposed to be, and how quick can you fix it? Luckily, Sarah and I are literally like share a brain, so it's easy for us to see something coming and be able to get in front of it. But when a speaker drops out, right? Like how do you replace them? Having a backup list and like having plan A, B, C, D, and E to make sure that you can, cover your ass essentially at the end of the day, I think is like a big part of it. But flexibility is the main thing. It's like, don't be so rigid in what you think that is going to happen that you also miss like the end picture. Like at the end of the day, you want it to be a successful event for your attendees. It doesn't matter about all the back end stuff. So don't show your face either. It's like remain calm as much as possible and professional. But like at the end of the day, you can freak out inside. That's what after hours are for, right? But like you just have to be able to think on your feet. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing even if you're running a booth or if you're at a show and a dinner you're throwing a dinner or a happy hour or something. It's the same thing. It's just being able to not freak out and know that you know your shit at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you find like it's difficult to balance that fine line between related to events, staying in the present moment, but also future tripping and trying to plan for the unexpected, having a backup plan for the backup plan? Like, is it kind of like a dance? It's almost like an art because you don't want to just constantly be living there because then you can't really be present during the event either. Yeah. So how do you kind of balance that?
You want to be able to interface with the people that are there. That's the whole point, right? Is people come to see you, you want to be able to talk. So if you're too bogged down in the minutia, again, they're never going to notice or see half the stuff that's going on in the background. So it's really just a distraction. And as long as you can kind of like maintain focus, I think that's like a big thing. And it's the same thing in business. I mean, it's still a business at the end of the day. We do events, but we do other things. It's like, it's not always going to look like how you want, but you have to be able to see what the end goal is there and know that the road name might be straight. You're going to go in different directions, but like to be able to go with those things and see it, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I think we can all speak that language on this podcast. It's like unforeseen is the one thing that's a guarantee.
It's the biggest fire you've ever had to deal with, like a speaker dropping out last minute?
No. Contracts with venues are always real fun. So signing BEOs, you're literally down to the last day. You're doing pre-con meetings with like an entire staff. You have explained till you're blue in the face, this is how it works. This is how I want it to operate. And without doubt, one of them will not listen, right? It's the nature of the game, but it's how far can you push out signing your contracts to make sure you have wiggle room and don't get caught in having to pay for stuff that you don't need. Because the venue's trying to do the same thing. They want money, you want to save money. So it's a dance, right? So those skills are kind of invaluable in terms of being able to know the game of venue roulette, as it were.
How do you incorporate AI into your marketing, especially around events? We talk about AI a lot. So if you're over it, then this is the time to tune it out. But guess what? It's here and it's prevalent. So I think you can't talk about it enough. Now, and also we haven't really talked about it related to, events and marketing, more in terms of creatives and taking care of tasks and whatnot. So I honestly run everything by ChatGPT now, like every day, all the time. How big is it, for an example, right? So what like other tools related to AI, sorry, I'm still just getting over that. What other tools related to AI work for you outside of ChatGPT, or do you kind of really just focus in that realm?
No, I run another project specifically related to AI projects with another friend of mine. And I live in Firefly. I love the Adobe suite. So I use that a lot for our like graphics. When you have a small team like we do and you don't have a graphics department, it's a lot easier to be able to pump out 30 creatives in a week when you have the ability to just at least create the background or some fundamentals using like a reference image or something like that in a Firefly, or, even like a Luma, having like a small video be created. Those are really fun. ChatGPT, I use it I created my own extension. So I threw in some of my own data. I don't throw in everything because it is open, right? Like you're throwing in certain amounts of like data lists and numbers. We don't put that in there, but I did create an extension with reference sites and some of my work so that I can ask it a question and it will make task lists and things like that for me. But when it comes to content, Sarah and I are pretty of the firm of belief that like we write everything out ourselves and we'll use it to refine it. But again, the authenticity piece, you can read something and tell if it's ChatGPT a lot of times. So you want to make sure that your voice is not lost in that. So that's why creating an extension that at least knows your tone So when you do drop in that like one sheeter of like just word vomit that your brain has been thinking for the last week, it at least gives some context to it, but you still need to be going back and forth. But I use all of the creative tools. Like I live in Midjourney. I absolutely love Firefly. That's probably my favorite because it's the most, it spells the best, and it's the most creative and realistic images, so to say. So we use AI every day, but within reason, if that makes sense, because we don't want to lose our personality in the mix, right? Like we don't want to sound like everybody else. That's not who we are.
There's definitely like a happy medium. I've gotten marketing emails and you can just tell that it was not that I didn't write it or Adam didn't write it or whatever. And it's like, I've used ChatGPT to write some shit. You just spend 5 minutes and kind of just humanize it a little bit, remove all the stupid dashes, make it look like you did it.
Yes.
Dude, the dashes, good call.
The dashes.
Dude, they ruined it. I've been using those for 20 years.
I use them in all my emails.
Fired. Nope.
This is fake. I did a post on Twitter about marketing, got hundreds of thousands of views, and these copywriter assholes were commenting like, this was made by AI. And I'm like, what? No, it's an emote. Like I have a best-selling book. Like I know, like what the fuck? I can't use this anymore. Anyways, I fired someone because they wrote their messages in ChatGPT, and I had some text me yesterday, and their reply to my text was in ChatGPT, and I said, do not do that ever again.
How do you know how to write? Like it's basic. You have to know how to write. It's a skill, and it's almost like a dying art because now even the kids, right, that are graduated from college, we all graduated or even went to school or had to write our own emails. We never had any of this in our early careers, right? So it's interesting because it's like they really there's like an inability to just speak. Even in a text message, Adam, how long would that take for them to like write you back something? You know what I mean? Right.
Like,
right.
Well, I got into an argument with an industry person in a chat room, and they were using ChatGPT, and I'm like, this isn't a real argument. Like, this is stupid. And you're right. A lot of young people do not understand the value of expressing themselves creatively. Mm-hmm. And so for me, personal growth is really, really important. And when I was in Hawaii, I did a bunch of writing, not just the book, but just writing in general about where I'm at in life and what I want to do and what do I want to accomplish and all these things. And the way I write it is just, I know the kids aren't doing it. And I'm not formally trained, right? Like I barely made it through high school. I didn't go to college. I just got really good at expressing myself in text. And it's like an incredibly powerful skill. And I think authenticity is the new, like, the real clout, right? Like if everyone's using ChatGPT, then what floats to the top is not the AI, it's authenticity and real opinions and that type of thing. So it's really interesting. I even wrote a bunch of stories and poems while I was out there in the forest. I wrote a soliloquy and
dude, let's hear it. Come on. Debut a poem, will you?
No, it's not for public consumption. But like the point is like if you're feeling something or you want to figure out where you want to go in life or you want to grow to your next level, the way you do that is by sitting down and writing what you want to do, what you want to accomplish in detail. And then you go back to that and you say, all right, well, this is what I want to do. What's that look like? Let's write a story about that happening and what it is. And then you can go back to the story and you can turn it into art by changing it into a poem or rewriting it through an alternative lens, not your lens, but someone watching you, right? And so as you go through those exercises, you start to reprogram your subconscious. But if you can't fucking write, like, you lose the cheat codes to the universe. So I don't know.
To your point, physically writing is different than note taking. Like I'm good at taking notes when I'm having conversations, but to your point, like I journal as well. It's like if you're writing it down, there's something different about it coming out of your hand. And also just knowing how to write in general, because I feel like that's also a dying skill. Like just actually being able to write in a piece of paper, it's crazy, But like that, if you can't actually articulate what you want and writing it has some power, right? You actually are putting it down on paper. It has actionable items. That's a big thing that I think a lot of people don't do. My friends are always like, oh, I write it down in my notepad, or I go, I write down this doc. I'm like, it's not the same as you physically writing it down. Your brain will connect with your soul, essentially, right? And you can go build greater things if you actually just write it down. The energy is different than texting it on a computer.
Amanda, do you think I'm crazy if I said more times than not, I trust AI and ChatGPT for information than a human?
I have found too many errors for me to trust ChatGPT on basic stuff, basic things. Like, you're just kind of like, that is not true. It's simply not true. I know because I've read a book on that, right? I don't know where they pull because they don't really you can't direct it to specific sites unless you give it a reference site, right? And it will just pull from Wikipedia. It will pull from whatever. And so, I always not only double but triple check everything that comes out of AI just to make sure that it's correct. Because even if you put a number in, it will just make up a number at the end. I've seen it do that before. It will take your information and even spit it out incorrectly. And you're just like,
well, sometimes I'll be like, wait, you just said this a second ago. And I'll be like, you know what? You're right. I apologize. Thank you for catching that. And I'll be like, what the fuck?
I'm still nice to it because I also don't want it to kill me during the singularity if that ever occurs. But at the same time, you're like, this is stupid. Go back and look at what I actually wrote originally, right? If you're going to actually reference something. But, like Harrison and Adam saying, like, you really just have to triple check it. I think you can use it as a good, like, builder, but then you need to go back and put it in.
It's a tool, right? It doesn't mean it's going to get it. You still need to fundamentally understand the skills required to do what you're doing. It just augments and speeds the process up. But for instance, the way I use it is fundamentally different than most people. And I use it as a tool. I understand it's not perfect, but all of my life experience and skill set and what I do is going to drastically impact how that thing responds to me. And a lot of people, most just use the base prompt entry.
Yep.
And anytime I'm doing something hyper specific, I create a custom GPT. I put boundaries in there. I tell it what type of questions to ask, what to challenge, what to not, what the goals are. I will upload all sorts of things to it. Like, didn't
it like create an image of you as like an evil like warlord or something like that? What was it?
So that is my custom psychologist GPT.
Ooh.
And I uploaded maybe 1,000 journal entries to it. And it knows me very well. It also did an IQ and EQ assessment and tested a whole bunch of other stuff. And we did many, 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 many questions, probably hundreds of pages of replies. And then I took all of that and put it in a document and then uploaded it so it's permanent context. So I said to it, basically, like, make a picture of what it's like talking to me.
Yeah, so funny.
And then I was like, make a picture of what it's like to fight with me. Make a picture of my soul. And the pictures that were coming out of it were really interesting because our friend Jason posted on Twitter what his was, like, make a picture of what it's like to talk to me. And his is funny. It represents him. I got mine back. And it was completely different than everyone else's. That's like, oh shit.
It was like a dark, stormy sky, and you're like standing there with like a saber or a sword or something.
Yeah.
Oh. You asked it with the extension to create an image, or did you upload it into a new extension with that reference document? I'm curious.
No, just the one that I talk to the most.
Okay, interesting. So it knows your tone. That's interesting. Okay.
It does. Yeah, and then I asked it to describe it, and I was like, oh, okay. Those weren't even the craziest ones. The craziest ones I didn't post, Josh. Craziest ones were, yeah.
Craziest ones were probably you, like, losing your soul. And Amanda, I got to know, like, how do you scale culture without losing your soul? Growth is great until it dilutes everything that makes you different. That was such a solid segue. Come on,
like guys. My soul is gone?
No, I was using that as a setup for the next topic. You're not even part of it. Yeah, you good. I know you're very passionate about it.
Oh my God. Hold on.
Josh.
Oh, there you go.
Josh, stop talking, fucker.
Oh my God. With the fire in the background and everything. Is that the Game of Thrones chair?
Yeah.
No way.
The prompt was, Make a picture of what it's like to talk to me.
That's what it spit out.
That's what it spit out.
That's epic. You might need that
Yeah.
as like a poster somewhere, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know. The one about fighting with me is just unbelievable, but that one's probably the most accurate.
Does it still have the sword?
God.
Look at Harrison. He's like, I'm not even. Yeah.
This is gold. I feel like I have an experiment to go do now. I've not even thought about doing that. I'm curious. I'm gonna go ask my extension to make a picture of me. This is gonna be entertaining. We'll definitely share.
Yeah, I asked it to make a picture of my mind too, and that one's really interesting. It's wild. You have to do it with one that you like a thread you've talked to a decent amount,
Yeah,
not just a big
I've got
thread.
an extension that I use, like it's my personal assistant, so to say. So it's got all sorts of stuff in there, and I can go back and ask it because it's definitely been yelled at a time or two. I'm curious what it's going to spit out, so it should be entertaining. But to your point,
Yeah.
Josh,
Amanda, how do you scale fast while remaining authentic to yourself and not losing yourself in the process? Choo choo, trains back on the rails. All
I
right.
like it. I like it. Finding people who prioritize your mission and circling up those people and not being distracted by the glitzy promises of, people who are what I would call fair weather or seasonal people. You will always have those in your life and they're not always bad, but people always have an idea of what they think your goal should look like or what your vision should look like. And that's great if it aligns in some aspect, like having somebody that can kind of see an alternative view is great. But if you can't find people who can like believe in your mission, like it's never going to grow and it's authentic. I think that's our like theme today, but it's an authentic state. It's going to morph into something else. So the reason we grew so slow, in the beginning was because we were very intentional about the people that we partnered with and the people that we worked with, because we didn't want to just be another, conference or whatever organization that was just trying to grab members. It's like we truly want there to be good people working with good people at the end of the day. You can eliminate a lot of the garbage if you just, assess people for basically who they are, who they show you they are, right? Through their actions, not necessarily just their words.
I'm sure a big part of scaling has to do with networking, like you were saying, talking to the right people. And before we started the show, we were talking about 2 years ago when we first had you on. You were mentioning, you were hitting like 15 to 20 shows a year.
I think I hit
maybe
27 shows in 2022, and I did 2025, 25, 27, and then like 21 before baby. And then back out this year, we're already on like number 6 or so. So it's a little slower, but yeah, that was a part of it. Like, what we were talking about before when Adam was saying, it's like in person will never replace a phone. So being at all those shows, although I have slept in many of places that I fairly would never want to go again, being there and just showing up is irreplaceable. People respect your time. They respect you more. You get more out of it. So I think that it was worth its weight in gold to do all of that, although exhausting, but it was also fun. I got to see a lot of cool people, got to see a lot of new places, you can't really complain.
So how do you avoid the burnout? I go to one show and I feel burned out, right? So 15 to 20, like how do you Adam's giving me a look like, dude, what? So how do you not get burnt out when you're hitting that many shows a year? Especially, now having a kid and a life outside of work too. So how do you keep it together?
Well, I love my kid, but I also want to set an example for her, how you can manage and do things, and you don't have to give up, your dreams and your goals just because things change, right? Like we're adaptable creatures. It's a skill in and of itself, but burnout is easy to mitigate if you have good people that you've built around you that show up, even if you're going to a show alone. I've had people that just flew in to see me just to have a buddy, but having that network makes it a lot more bearable. Just having a friendly face at dinner or going to a show where you're even in a one person, if you know 50, great. Right. But when you travel as much as we do, even as a group, it's like your conference family is an extension of your family. I see a lot of these people more than I see my own family. You know what I mean? So burnout is, it's definitely on the table, especially when you're like passing out at the Vegas airport trying to catch your airplane. Not you guys, but for me, I slept on my suitcase more than once. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you do get burned out, but I love hearing about people's families.
Hold on. I just want to set the record straight here that Harrison and I have probably flown on more shitty commercial flights than anybody we know. Okay.
Love it. Had to go back to the OG days.
We've both been to like 60, 65 plus countries. I've flown on North Korean Airlines, you
That's
fuckers.
impressive, actually. As in and of
Yeah.
itself, I am just ballsy, but I love it.
Choreo, it's great. The planes turn really fast, and you're like, why? And you're like, oh, they don't have GPS or autopilot. So,
Causing missiles, actually, Adam, I think, over there.
like there's there have been many a time where I was planning on flying on a PJ, and then I get a commercial ticket from Harrison because he sold it to someone else.
Making money any way you can over there. I like it.
Exactly. In fact, we were at a trade show recently. It was Medicarians, and Boris from Pitch Perfect came over and was like, "Yeah, we're going somewhere. We're taking I think it was a G450 SP or something." And I was like, "Where did you get it?" And he goes, "Oh, Harrison." And I was like, "This motherfucker sold him plane."
So Boris, that's great. Actually, that's gold. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Couldn't,
So, whatever.
for my best work.
I'll do it the normal way. It's fine.
He's coming down, but you've slept in the airports. I guess that's my point. It's like, it's burnout and it is real and you're tired and you're drooling on your suitcase, at the airport, and it happens, but you get to sit with people that you haven't seen, hear about their families, what they've been up to. My favorite part is hearing new businesses. Like, what are you building? What do you have your hands in now? Like, where are you actually prioritizing, and then trying to figure out if there's any way that I can work with them, because everybody's evolving and doing new things on the side, right? So burnout's easily avoided when you're actually interested and invested in the people that are around you.
The most important part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really the critical thing. Like, do you actually believe in what you're doing or not? And I think that's the differentiating factor, is if you have a group of people that all believe in what they're doing, then everyone's willing to show up even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And I think that's our culture at Ringba is, stepping up when it's hard is a privilege, because you are serving the rest of the team. You get to step up, take that responsibility, and deliver for everybody else. And we do not treat that as punishment. In fact, we treat it as a privilege. And so it takes a certain mindset to do it. You really got to care very deeply about what you're doing. And as a leader, if you care very deeply about what you're doing genuinely and you're authentic, your team will care about it too, and they will match and mimic and mirror your behavior. And so if you're burning out, like, that just means you don't care. So
Something
Josh,
in your bell. Not right now.
Josh.
Anyways, moving right along to our next topic here. Relationships in this industry are everything, right? We say it on the show all the time. How do you have a good relationship with someone? You build trust with them, right? I know you have a ton of good relationships and people you trust, but I think how to create that trust is something we don't really talk about on this show a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like, can you teach someone how to create trust with others, or do you think it's kind of an innate ability that you're born with, or a little combination of both?
It's like a two-part. It's like, are you a trustworthy person? Are you, do you have integrity in what you do? That's first and foremost.
The vibes have to be right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's two rules that we have, in our little organization, is show up and don't be an asshole. It's really as easy as that to build trust with people. It's like, as long as you are, to Adam's point, believe in what you're doing, you're building something else, something new, or you believe in what you do in general, and you show up for people. You have a meeting, you show up on time, if not early, you accepted an invitation to a dinner, maybe someone's having a happy hour that no one registered for. Just showing up and being there for people, that's how you build trust, to me, initially. After that, you're essentially, if it's a business relationship, obviously through contracts, negotiations, and just working together, like, you're going to have trust as you start to, like, build that natural relationship. But on a partnership side, it's as simple as just showing up. It's, and it sounds simple, but it's really hard for a lot of people just to make it where they say they're going to be, you know what I mean? And if you can do that, you're ahead of the game already. That's just my personal philosophy, because it's half the battle, at any event, or just in general, is getting people to commit and show up.
One of the things you mentioned related to this before we started, about trust, is how to recover it when it's broken. I think that's huge and extremely difficult to do, because I know some people are, you get one chance with me. If you break it, you're dead to me forever. So how much of it is in your control versus another person forgiving? You know, like it's got to be some sort of mathematical equation, I feel like.
I mean, I think in business, there's always, sometimes transgressions that happen between people and things can be rectified, but it's a lot of hard work and it's on the work is on the person who made the mistake. So for me, it's like if you consistently show up to try to make it better, you apologize. I think that there's a working relationship that can be had when you're talking about like friendships, relationships in the industry, building new businesses. Sometimes that's a really good indicator of people you shouldn't be working with, right? It's if you can't trust them to do things the right way or in your best interest, maybe that's, no is sometimes the answer, right? It's good. But, people can apologize and you can move on. I think you can forgive, but not necessarily forget, because that would be in your detriment to forget. It's still a lesson because those people did show you who they are, regardless if they change or not. So it would behoove you to pay attention to how people act towards you, because their actions speak louder than their words, right? At the end of the day. So trust can be repaired. I just think sometimes I mentioned earlier, seasonal people. Sometimes there are seasonal people in your life and it is okay to let them go, right? Those relationships don't serve either of you anymore and it is okay to move on. You know what I mean? But it's hard for people to let go.
Josh, I think Amanda's answer is very sage wisdom. And I would add to it specifically that the only real way to repair broken trust is through effort and transparency. And the amount of effort that's required to do it and the amount of transparency and accountability with it is nearly impossible for most people. Because if you're going to break someone's trust and have the wherewithal to repair it, you likely wouldn't have broken it in the first place. And if you did, you would have built up enough trust at that point to where if you own the mistake and fix it, that there would be forgiveness, and they would obviously know at that point that you had made a mistake. I had one of these a couple of years ago where it was our fault, no question. And I literally got in the middle of a lawsuit and had to call both sides and be like, hey, this was our fault. We're not even in your lawsuit. I'm really sorry. And the lawyers are like, do not do that. And I was like, look, I don't care. I don't care. I'm calling them both. Hey, I did this. I'm sorry. If you want to drag me in, great. I'll deal with the consequences, however I can help. This is my fault. I'm sorry. And I had to deal with it a little bit. They didn't drag me in, and it is what it is. But it was a mistake. It was an oversight. I didn't personally do it. One of our team members did, but it's still my responsibility. And when I told them I would be help in any way I could, I meant that. And I was willing to put in the time and effort to solve the problem and rectify the mistake. And that doesn't just mean paying your bill either, right? If you're a dick and then you wait 6 months and then you do pay the bill and you're still a dick about it, that's not earning the trust back. Earning the trust back is genuinely showing remorse and wanting to rebuild the relationship or the trust with no expectation whatsoever of anything in the future. And there are very, very, very few people that I have seen that have the ability to do that. And the people who would and can are generally the ones that would never get themselves in that situation anyways, right? Josh, if I broke your trust, I would handle it immediately. There would be no question. It would get resolved and you would give it back because I would over earn and put more effort in to do it. But I'm never going to lose your trust or break it because that's not who I am. So it's Amanda's right. There are seasonal people that shouldn't be in your life. And when you find them, sometimes it's hard, but they need to be removed.
Exactly.
Well, Amanda, we got to get you back on the show before another 2.5 years go by. You're a fantastic guest.
It's for over 2.5 years.
January of 2023.
We went and looked it up.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're getting up there with the episodes, man. We're this is 123, I think, 124, something like that.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, when we started this, I was fat.
Wow. If you guys want to see that, go look at episode number. No, I'm just kidding. And Adam,
I wasn't
you're
doing
looking great, and I'm very disappointed, super disappointed that you chose to wear a shirt today, but there's always next episode. Stay tuned. See if Adam wears a shirt next time on the Affiliate Marketing Show. For myself, Josh from OfferVault, Mr. Paper Call, Adam Young, the industry legend, Adam Gevirtz, and our very dear friend of the pod, Amanda Farris, founder and CEO of LinkUnite. Let's make that paper. Let's make that dough. This was the Affiliate Marketing Show. We will see you next time.